One of the things that I have struggled with the most over the last 4 years is how to be ambitious, how to stay motivated when you have it all. I was on a road trip 4 years ago, listening to this podcast and hearing Gary Vee say this line that just hit me. It's hard to be hungry when you're fed. I am fully aware that not everyone is going to understand this feeling. I don't see it really talked a lot about online because everyone is so focused on like the scaling the business, the 10K a month business, escaping from their life. Not many people have made it and felt that feeling of what comes next. And having been a software engineer in Silicon Valley, 5-figure paychecks, sign-on bonuses, having all of my needs met, but still feeling that like emptiness inside of me of like, what am I doing this for? What's next? I want to talk about this feeling in this video and share some of the things that I've been learning about motivation when you have it all, when you have a good job, navigating a life without necessity, and what has helped me the most get through this. It was back in May of 2022. I wrote this note. It was just before I was going to quit my job. I said, look, I recognize the privilege I have of this situation, but that doesn't take away the fact that this is affecting me and that my potential is way higher than where I'm at right now. How do you navigate a life without necessity? All of my basic needs are set and more. I can afford a good place to live, healthy food, I'm not paycheck to paycheck, can save extra money. And because of these things being met, I've started to focus more on fulfillment and meaning in my life. This is the most interesting part of this. Is I started to look at people who have that fire underneath them, who are like need to prove something, who have some like fire driving them, like some insecurity driving them, and seeing them work so much harder and move so much faster. And I'm like, I don't have that. Something I admire about the lives of people who grew up in hard times is they have that burning fire underneath them, that necessity to achieve. I think what sucks the most about being in this position, having been a software engineer, I quit my job, I escaped my life. I had made it. Like I didn't need to make money. That produced this unique situation where I could create and design the life that I wanted to live. Traveling, feeling free, working on what I wanted to work on. And so I designed this lifestyle without urgency. And it kind of made me start to just float for a while. Like I took a full year off of just exploring and journaling, learning more about myself, doing, introspection, trying things, experimenting with things. And I think that was very useful for me, but I continued to compare myself to other creators online, people pushing harder, people who had more ambition, people who looked more motivated, more consistent. And I just thought like, I'm just floating. And so now having struggled with this and thought a lot about it and made it to a point where I've, designed my life around excitement, meaning, fulfillment, purpose, something higher, something that leverages who I am and not just trying to escape something. I want to share what I've learned about motivation. I see two types of motivation. There's push motivation and pull motivation. Push is like, I need to get clients, I need money, I need to build this business, I need to pay my bills. And so you're pushing yourself. And pull motivation is more of this like, I'm being pulled into something. Someone needs me. I'm being called into something. I'm being pulled into something bigger. Like things are just naturally flowing. And having really thought about this myself and where I use push motivation, where I use pull motivation, and having coached clients and seen it in themselves, I think a lot of people out there are using push motivation. They're being driven by some insecurity, some fear, some urgency, some needing to prove themselves. And when you get to this point, what I see happens is it will never be enough. Everything that you are doing, trying to prove something to someone else, trying to prove that you can do it, and show them and get the attention from them, get the love from them, everything that you are doing, it will never be enough. And that is the trap of push motivation. It's this dirty coal fuel that burns so quick. And then when you get the money, when you get the 10K a month business, the status, the car, like it's so quick. The attention that you desire maybe comes for a second, but then it's gone, and it's that you're left still with this empty feeling. And in contrast to pull motivation, the physical sensation that I felt is this like warmth inside of my stomach, this expansive feeling, this level of impact on someone else, this pulling into something bigger, this disassociation with myself, seeing myself on bigger stages, seeing myself, having a deeper impact on more people. It's this expansive, warm feeling. And it's not this quick dopamine hit that you get from like a comment on your car, or like walking into your apartment, bringing someone home and, getting that comment. It's this more sustained feeling of purpose and service. I think the more that I tap into this, it's this like more sustainable energy source. It doesn't have these peaks, but every time I hear a comment from someone, how I've impacted their life, how I've changed their mind, how I've changed their life, it just contributes to this foundation of evidence that like people need me. And I think that is the more healthy and sustainable fuel source to tap into, when you can get to a point where you are being pulled into something, both by your body, but also by life, the universe, people around you. Now, I want to share this story of a guy that I met yesterday at one of my workshops, because I think he falls into a very similar pattern, and I want to share what I discovered from our conversation. Very similar to me, working at a very good company, quit his job knowing there was something more out there for him, but just didn't know what. It's like engineer type, analytical type, can build. His question on the surface was something like, what direction, what thing do I build? Where do I go from here? Having experienced this myself and having guided other people through this, what I went to first was the level of energy and your body. Like, forget everything else. Forget the status, the traveling, the metrics, whatever. What actually lights you up at your core? What actually gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited? What feels warm and impactful? What fulfills you? What gives you meaning? And for a lot of people, what this starts out as is not what I'm describing as pull motivation now, what I've experienced and learned, because I didn't have that. What I had was just a little bit of curiosity about some things, some interest, some like warm feelings of conversations that I've had with people, ways that I've impacted people. And so it always starts as, what are you curious about? What do you just get excited by? Where do you get into flow? Where do you feel some meaning in your life? Where do you feel some responsibility? Where do you feel some amount of like pull into something bigger? And not like, don't look for what am I passionate about? What is my purpose? Like, stop thinking about these. They're too big for where you're at right now. And what he described was, building something, solving a problem, and really improving the lives of other people. And when we drilled into it, I was like, are there any topics, categories, specifically? And he talked about health, longevity, his own kind of personal transformation, fitness transformation, solving his own little problems in his life. And then we got to uncovering what was underneath this, because I feel like, and this comes back to my own struggle as well, what usually is holding us back is not the pull into something bigger, but actually a fear or an emotion. And when I go back to my story of kind of just floating through life, escaped my job, trying to figure out what direction to pursue. I was curious about a lot of things, but there was a big blocker of exposure, of fear of being seen trying and failing, fear of being judged. And that is a thing that my brain did not fully sit with. And instead I looked for all of the analytical, I tried to think my way through it. I tried to think my way through a problem of fear, and that, looking back, is not how you do it. Because fear is an emotion. Fear is a felt sense in your body. And so we use a different tool set to uncover and integrate fear. It's not an analytical thing. And so for my past self, it was fear that was stopping me. For this guy I met yesterday, it was fear of failure, fear of putting himself out there and being seen failing. For this guy I coached last week, it was also fear of exposure, perfectionism, putting out something imperfect and being judged for it, being seen failing, being seen as not good enough. And so the way that I work through this now of how to navigate this life without necessity, how to stay motivated and ambitious when you have everything already, is these two things. What is your why? What gets you excited? What lights you up? You are unique. You have a set of DNA and life experience, emotional experiences that you went through as a child, whether that be traumatic or just like these emotional experiences that continue to pop up. You have a unique story. And so why are you doing this? And not just, because I want to escape. Because I want to, help people. Why? What is underneath that? What is the fire inside of you that is just a spark right now? What gets you excited? What lights you up? What do you feel passionate about? What can you not stop thinking about? What is intrinsic to you? And the thing that is usually stopping us from pursuing that is some emotion, some fear. Have you integrated that? Have you sat with it? Or does, like, every time you feel that fear, you just go, I'm not that type of person who like makes YouTube videos and would be an influencer, and I prefer being on the sidelines in the back. I prefer doing things like one-on-one. Is that just your fear speaking? There is no way to know just by thinking. Like, you need to experience the fear, integrate it, understand why you fear this thing, why you feel this emotion. Have you gone back to the emotional experiences as a kid? Any traumas that came up, the inner child inside of you who needs something? Is the fear just a protection? And so I speak about these things at the root level because these are the big movers for your life. And so what I've experienced and what I've learned and seen this in other people is start here at the root. All of the little things of like, let me put my phone on do not disturb, and like let me set an app timer to like be more motivated, and let me just like David Goggins my way through this. Like, all of those are the little tweaks and hacks and things, but it's like you're driving this barge ship and you're driving it in like the wrong direction, and you're thinking, if I just use like blue light glasses and put my phone on do not disturb, like that'll fix it. You have like a rudder, like a little paddle, and you're at the front of the barge ship going, let me just turn this by what are you doing? What are we doing? Turn the rudder of the ship. Orient yourself in the direction that you need to be going, and stop trying to like paddle your way through. I should be able to just do this if I keep trying, if I keep pushing myself to do this. And so navigating a life without necessity is a very difficult and niche experience. But from what I've learned, when you stand on a foundation of why you're doing this, who you are, and not just trying to escape from your life And when you start to integrate the emotions and the feelings of fear, of exposure, visibility that you are unconsciously running from, when you actually sit with those, that is how I've made the most progress into feeling this sustained level of purpose, of people need me. And that is what gets me up in the morning every day now. That's all I've got for this video. If you resonated with part of this, shoot me a message on Instagram. I would love to hear your experience and your thoughts, what you've been learning. And we'll start the conversation there. See you in the next one. Peace.